Cialis on TRT, what it can and what it can't do for your protocol. Look, I think people inherently know Cialis is an erectogenic drug, so it induces erections. But to truly understand Cialis when you're using testosterone replacement therapy, it's important to understand exactly what Cialis is doing. So Cialis is not boosting your libido, it's not increasing testosterone, and it's not modifying hormones in any major way. What it's doing is removing a brake from a system that already has to be working. Here's the mechanism. Erections are driven by nitric oxide release in the penis. So like when you're sexually stimulated and all that dopamine stuff turns on, your nerves release nitric oxide, which then goes and activates an enzyme, which is called guanylate cyclase. And guanylate cyclase increases something called cGMP. Now, cGMP is the signal that tells the smooth muscles within the penis to relax. And when the smooth muscles relax, then blood rushes in, pressure builds, veins get compressed, and that's what creates a rigid erection. Now, that cGMP, which is what fosters the smooth muscle relaxation and the blood flowing into the penis, your body actually breaks that down. It has a normal process by which it takes it and degrades it. It does that via an enzyme called phosphodiesterase type 5, or PDE5. And Cialis blocks that enzyme. That's all. That's all Cialis is doing. So instead of cGMP quickly getting destroyed, it stays elevated like substantially longer, which means more sustained smooth muscle relaxation, more blood that ends up being trapped in the penis, and as a result, stronger, longer lasting erections. So that's what Cialis does, and that's all it does. That said, Cialis can be an incredible add-on for men that are on TRT. It can do the following things. Number one, improve erection rigidity. Yeah, because it's keeping cGMP around and preventing its breakdown, you've just got kind of doubly the optimization of the intrapenile mechanisms that make erections work. Smooth muscle relaxation primarily, and of course, nitric oxide signaling. Now, we'll get it to what it can't do in a second here, because if your protocol is situated in a way where your DHT estrogen ratios are out of whack and not balanced, Cialis won't actually help you. So stick around for that. Cialis can improve the time to erection, right? So rather than it taking a little longer than it should, you have to do a little foreplay to kind of get things going. Cialis actually makes it a lot quicker. The time to erection is a lot faster with Cialis in the protocol. Again, assuming the TRT protocol is right for you or close to right for you. Third thing Cialis can do, and this could be good or bad, is reduce sensation slightly, which if it's good, it makes you last longer. You could end up lasting longer. Or if it reduces it too significantly, it could put you in a place where you last too long. But there is a mechanism by which Cialis reduces sensation. It's likely via temporary increases in prolactogenic activity in the pituitary. Cells called lactotropes secrete a little more prolactin. And this has been actually demonstrated with the use of other PDE5 inhibitors. But there may be some blood pooling effect, some pronounced effect that happens at the nerve level, which reduces sensation a little bit. So that's just something to look out for. Could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. At the same time, via improving nitric oxide, not just in penile tissues, but generally everywhere, it gives you a very vascular look, okay? Like you will look leaner and more vascular at the gym, especially when you have a pump, when you're using Cialis. I mean, some people use it specifically for that. So that's one of the good things that it can do on TRT. The most important one is that it can fill in the gaps if your protocol isn't quite perfect for erectile quality, meaning estradiol just a little bit above your range or not enough DHT. Now, you can't be way out of that range and expect Cialis to help. 20 milligrams sometimes isn't going to do that. But if you're close and you feel good and you're just thinking, hey, I don't want to really optimize this any further for now, yes, you can use Cialis to fill in the gaps. And then lastly, it can act as a nootropic. This is a paper that I've talked about before in the past. It's titled The Effect of Daily Low Dose Tadalafil. This is a generic, drug name for Cialis on cerebral perfusion. So that's the blood flow, effectively the blood in or out of the brain, and cognition in patients with erectile dysfunction and mild cognitive impairment. I'm not going to go through the whole study, but basically they conclude the results of this prospective clinical study suggest that daily use of tadalafil at 5 milligrams a day increases some regional cerebral blood flow and improves cognition in patients with ED and mild cognitive impairment. What's important, though, is discussing what Cialis cannot do on TRT. So let's talk about that. Number one, Cialis cannot restore erectile quality when the protocol that you have is bad. Specifically, when your protocol doesn't factor in the necessary DHT estrogen ratio for you. Again, usually guys have to be 55 to 90 nanograms per deciliter DHT. Some people have to be super physiologic with estrogen high normal. I mean, if we want a template, as I've discussed thousands of times on this channel, that's really the template to start from. You can move out from there and deviate slightly within a reasonable window and see if you can find a better sweet spot, but that's the place to start. But like if you're sitting with estradiol at 55 picograms per milliliter and DHT high normal, let's call it 65 nanograms per deciliter, Cialis is probably then not to fix erectile quality, right? If you got some degree of ED going on and you're thinking Cialis, so even 10 milligrams, 15 milligrams sometimes isn't enough to resolve that problem. Now, if you're sitting at 35, 37 estradiol and DHT is at 70 and erectile quality is not so great, but it's like good enough, passable for sex, that's when Cialis can actually make it full force. The second thing, so you've got to have your protocol straight. I've seen situations where 20 milligrams Cialis, it does not fix the problem for people for erectile quality issues on TRT. If the protocol's super bad, 20 milligrams itself is not going to help you. The other thing it can't do, this is why it's critically important for everybody, every man, but especially people on TRT, to monitor prolactin, is restore erectile quality at any dose in the presence of elevated prolactin. Prolactin is one of the biggest inhibitors of erection function down to the base of the penis, the mechanics of blood inflow. Prolactin just will block that. So, super elevated prolactin, Cialis is not going to do much of anything for erectile quality in that state. Third thing it can't do is restore erection quality or give you acute erection quality when erectile rehab or penile rehab is necessary, right? There are states, specifically long-term DHT starvation, that necessitate rehab of the penis in order to make it work better. Fourth thing it cannot do, just to clear a myth up, is lower estrogen to your sweet spot range. This is largely a myth. There is one piece of literature that suggests that it might modify the aromatase gene activity to some extent. It has never, and it could never, meaningfully change or lower estradiol on any blood that I have ever seen in 7 years of coaching. Okay, so Cialis is not going to lower your estrogen down to your sweet spot range. It doesn't work like that. Listen, if you're having a hard time dialing in on TRT in general, there are 4 products that you have to consider. I mean, these will literally get you to dial in on TRT and change the game. Number 1, mastering libido and erections on TRT, the sexual function playbook. Look, this is every single ester, whether it's cypionate, anethate, propionate, test cream. Using exogenous DHT on top of your TRT protocol, the instructional playbook to show you how to master sexual function on TRT. You can get it down in the description of this video. It is an instant download, and this will save you years of time and dial you in. Secondarily, TRT coaching. Look, if you don't want to go through the rigmarole of dialing in and going through a bunch of protocols and adjustments, we'll fix the libido and erections, the climax and sensation. Just bring me on board. I am a 7-year expert, a specialist, and I care about results in fixing erection, libido, sensation, general sexual dysfunction problems on TRT through a tailored protocol engineering process, working one-on-one with me for 3 months, 6 months, or a 30-minute call with 3 to 5 action routes on an online document. If you want to switch to test cream, testosterone cream, or you're using cream and trying to dial in and you want the best proven protocol templates you can actually carefully then dial in further to perfection, grab the video course, Mastering Testosterone Cream for Libido and Erections, and dial in sexual function on test cream. And don't look back. This video course is the official instructional breakdown on dialing in testosterone cream for sexual function. The dose range for Cialis on TRT is 5 to 10 milligrams a day. Right? 5 to 10 milligrams a day. You push 15 milligrams a day, you're running the risk of a little bit too much nitric oxide. You probably end up a little lightheaded, but certainly the lower back pain, the nasal congestion, the head stuffiness, the side effects are going to come about. The reflux, you want some serious acid reflux, dose a lot of Cialis, right? So again, you should never be in a situation where you require more than 10 milligrams a day of Cialis. And let's talk about that. All right, so number 2 major point, you want to situate your protocol so that you only require 5 milligrams a day, right? That 5 milligrams a day is adding a noticeable amount of rigidity to penile function, to your erections, increasing, or I should say decreasing the time it takes to get an erection and keeping you a lot more stable and rigid throughout the duration of penetrative sex. Now, look, you can dose 10 milligrams a day if estradiol is just a little bit out of your friendly zone, or if you don't have enough DHT. Now, in that case, you should always fix your protocol to make that straight, but that's where the 10 milligram doses make sense. With 5, your protocol is really straight or very close to straight. 5 milligrams are a great candidate. If you're a little further out, the further you go out from, being dialed in regarding estrogen and DHT, the more Cialis, you're going to need. And the more makes sense. So if E2 is out of your friendly zone and or not enough DHT, 10 milligrams will be sufficient. But last major point, if you're requiring 20 milligrams or more, or like 20 combined with Levitra and Viagra, they have these like combo things, which by the way make no sense and are going to be fast tracking you to have side effects, you have a problem. This is now extremely out of control. You are, requiring excessive doses of PDE5 inhibition, and that is just not good. If you're there and you have that, you've got a big problem. Likely hormonally fixable, but if not, structurally driven and fixable with penile rehab and, of course, hormones. So the bottom line is Cialis is not a miracle drug by any means. Cialis is best used and creates the best results when you've already gotten yourself with a TRT protocol in a very optimal state. Then, on top of the place that you're already in, which is already good, you get massive benefits on top of your already dialed in state. That's the best way to use Cialis on TRT. It's important to know what it can do and what it can't do, what it's good for, what it's not good for, and why, if you're trying to band-aid your protocol with the use of any PDE5 inhibitor, but especially Cialis, it might be time to look at what's going on in the protocol. 5 milligrams a day, totally awesome. You need more than that, and you're kind of relying on it, you got to take a magnifying glass to your protocol and see what you can fix. Now, look, if you need more details on how to do that, Mastering Libido and Erections on TRT, the Sexual Function Playbook, was created for that purpose, loaded with adjustment strategies to find your perfect protocol. Buy it down in the description of this video. Again, if you need to dial in on testosterone cream, I created a video course that shows you from a 7-year coach's perspective the right templates to use and how to adjust into perfection. Get Mastering Testosterone Cream for Libido and Erections now. If you need to dial in on Cypionate, I created Mastering Testosterone Cypionate for Libido and Erections for that reason. It's one of the hardest esters to dial in. Everything is in that course. And lastly, if you need one-on-one private coaching, look, if you want to engineer a protocol tailored to your physiology, specifically to fix erection and libido problems on TRT, hire me. All right, we'll get on the fact-finding call. You'll have either 30 minutes with me, 3 months with me, or 6 months of my time and attention, and we'll resolve the sexual dysfunction to get you dialed in on TRT. I'd love to work with you. All that stuff can be found in the description of this video. Listen, boys, I appreciate the fact that you have been with me. Like the video, makes a huge difference to the algorithm. Sub to the channel. Man, if you're new here and you're liking what we just said, there's so much content in the past, so much more in the time continuum. I'd love to have you on board. Otherwise, kick ass, rock on, enjoy the rest of your day. Watch this next video, because I think what I just said and what I'm about to say in this next video is going to tie it all in together for you. See you, brother. Have a good one.